Why am I so excited about a simple hug when he was unconscious?
I said, Naomi, one of the things that I want to work on is what was my part in this breakup? What can I do to fix myself?
Even though I'm so freaking glad that I got divorced
and moved out of state in July and feel like I have blown my whole entire life. I'm married for 20 years. I've been grieving for 2 years now, and it's worse than grieving a death.
I actually remember wishing that he had died.
Welcome back to More to Life. Now, before we get into this video, I ask that you like, comment, subscribe. Also, smash that notification bell just to be sure you get on my videos as soon as I release them. Let's get right into this.
So I was speaking with a girlfriend the other day about divorce, and she was asking me when was one of the first signs that I knew something was wrong with my marriage. And I have this memory so heavily imprinted on my brain. I can still feel it to this day, and it sounds so weird. It was the middle of the night, we were both asleep, and in the middle of the night, my ex, while he was asleep, grabbed me from behind for a spoon hug in bed. It was like one of those really good big bear hugs in bed. And that sent me like electricity through my body. I have never in that marriage experienced such joy than when he hugged me in that moment. And he was asleep and he wasn't doing it intentionally. And that joy and elation carried me through the week. I was walking on cloud 9 because of that hug. And I kept thinking about it, and I started thinking, like in hindsight, obviously, why am I so excited about a simple hug when he was unconscious? That's how little I had the affection that I needed. And it kind of clicked. I was like, that tiny little absolute nothing moment ended up being the best thing in my marriage that week. And that incident is what made me start kind of taking inventory of my relationship and taking a really hard look at it and realizing all the holes that were in my marriage. Okay, calm down. I did not divorce him because of the hug. It was years after that we ended up getting divorced. But it was just one of those things that kind of started getting my brain thinking. We all kind of have those like domino moments, don't we? Where something happens that makes us start thinking about all of these other things that we need to be thinking about. Like you've woken up and you can now actually see your relationship for what it is. Anyways, it's such a random moment, but I've never forgotten that feeling. And it's different for everyone. Everyone has one of those like first aha moments, and it's usually something really small. So if you're watching this is your reminder to go and hug and kiss your partner and tell them how much you love them. Okay, love you, bye.
This is happening all over. With leading marriages ending, I haven't been hugged in years. And instead of talking to their partner, they turn around and file for divorce right away. Now, a lot of them won't be like her and take time, right? They'll file right away. Not a word, not saying, hey, honey, I want things to change. Let me give an example. My wife told me today what I need to stop doing. Could you imagine? She doesn't say. Now, this is one thing. When she told me that, I'm happy she told me because I'm able to change now. Now, I'm sure there are some guys out there, you tell them what's wrong, they'll change. A lot of them are not getting their due diligence because they're not being told it's wrong. It's like you don't love me.
When I left my husband after a 22-year marriage and being with him for 25 years, the first phone call I made the next day was call my psychologist. And I remember I said to her, I said, Naomi, one of the things that I want to work on is what was my part in this breakup? And more importantly, what can I do to fix myself? Because I don't want to attract the same kind of man. I mean, after all, second marriages, the divorce rate is at 75%. So the reason that occurs is because people, when they get a divorce, they don't change. They think the problem is him, and therefore they end up attracting the same kind of person. They may look different, they may act different, they may be different, but inside they're the same. And that's why the second divorce rate is 75% higher. And I made sure that that wasn't going to be me in that statistic. So know thyself.
Yeah, it's 75% higher because you know you can leave. You left once. That's what it is. They're going, oh, I know I can just leave him and get another. And then I don't know about the third marriage rate divorce statistics, but I'm sure it's high too. It was something that showed from 2001 to 2024. It was over like close to 1 million divorces since that's bananas. That's not happening in other places. Like over in the Philippines, where I am right now, that's not happening. Many other countries as well. This is why men feel doomed. Like, what's the whole point of getting married for? In the West, that's how they feel. I truly understand. I felt the same way. I felt like I couldn't do it. And I get why guys are feeling this way. Yes, she's right in a way. You do have to figure out what it is you need to do and change it. But what you need to change is to be more accepting. You need to be more like your mother or your grandmother. You claim, oh, they had to deal with it. But when you ever seen your grandmother talking to your grandmother a lot of times, it's love. That's all you see is love. You ever seen two old people walking down a block together?
Those days are over.
You can't get that now.
What are the signs that the relationship isn't worth fighting for? I'll tell you the biggest sign. And I learned this when I watched this man who's a divorce attorney talks about his cases and what he thinks about marriage, what he thinks has the chance of working out versus like what didn't work out. And he asked the woman, because he was representing her, and said, what was the moment that you realized that the relationship was done? She said that he every morning would always make sure that her granola was refilled. Not even have to ask and just always refill it for her, right? He'd write these little post-its too for her when he was leaving. Even after all these fighting, he'd still do it. The day she knew that the relationship was over was when he stopped filling the granola, stopped doing the letters because he stopped caring. The moment you realize the relationship isn't worth fighting for is when you realize that that person just doesn't care. You're just tired, you give up. It's the giving up part. She realized in that moment that he just didn't have anything left in him to keep the relationship going.
Of course, that's how you notice. I mean, how long has it been though? 10 years, 15 years? Now, when you notice that, why didn't you go knock on the bedroom door and say, honey, I think you need counseling today? Because you noticed it. Why didn't you say something? This is the problem. Communication. They claim they're the best communicators, that he doesn't communicate to me or he doesn't communicate his feelings. But communication is key at that point. Hey, I know something's going wrong. Like, I'll tell you something. If my marriage was on the rocks, I'd be talking every day about it, right? Because I don't want to end up like what he's going through right now. What that lady put her husband through, I don't want to go through that. So I'm going to make sure, and my wife is going to make sure as well, we're going to work together. And that's what it's all about. You have to love someone so much that you're not going to argue over the little things. You're going to work everything out. You're going to be giving. You're going to take and also give. And when you're with a man, it takes a lot more giving. It takes you washing dishes sometimes. Not every man washes dishes. It takes cooking and cleaning and picking up his cups. Because yes, I've been through it as well. I'm talking as a married man. And you know what? It's been addressed to me before and we gotten through it. You can get through it all. I'm talking as a man that's 9-10 years married. So I think I'm more qualified for this.
When does the grieving process stop after divorce? Well, let's talk about that for a minute. Now, I'm a believer that grief is a human experience and that we can't ever control when it starts, when it stops, and if it ever really goes away. It's just part of life. And I even have moments, even though I'm so freaking glad that I got divorced, like I have not regretted it one day in my life. The only thing I regretted was not leaving sooner. And you know what? If you got left, different side of the coin, but same thing, the grief. It still hits me from time to time. And it's not like I get overly sad. It's just kind of like a ping that hits my heart. And I just kind of feel like, oh, you know, like there's a weight to it. Or like I'll feel like guilty for something that my kids are experiencing and I can't fix it. And I'm like, it's because of the divorce. Like I just blame myself sometimes. And it happens still 7 years later. And the reason I'm telling you this is because, listen, grief is grief. Starting over is starting over. Loss is loss. And you can't decide when that shuts off. because you hit certain times where you're just like, this sucks. Or you see your kids struggling, or you're reminded of something with your ex, or I don't know, it's just life, right? So the goal isn't really to like make the grief go away. The goal is to like navigate it and walk in it and recognize like, hey, grief, I see you. And then put it away, you know?
Actually, I don't think the grief will ever go away. And I hope it doesn't ever go away. I'll tell you why. A lot of times, well, pretty much 80-90% of the time, when a woman and a man gets married, they say their vows before God. They say their vows before God, and they say till death do us part. That's what it means. So when you break up till death do us part, it causes problems to your children. It causes problems to everyone around you in your immediate vicinity, whoever's involved. It's going to cause problems to the man, to you. You'll be sad. He'll be sad. It's not supposed to happen. It's not supposed to be broken only by cheating. That's why no-fault divorce was the fall of America. And I'll tell you the wild thing, right? A lot of people may not know, or people know, America started out as people running to the U.S. to escape the wiles of a fallen church system, right? They escaped from over like by Rome and all of those places like that to have religious freedom. And one of those things that includes it is marriage. They weren't stopping marriage, but they came here to have marriage. And one of those things that weren't in play many years ago was no-fault divorce. Since no-fault divorce has came in, and the millions of marriages that happened, and it happened most recently because of the pandemic, where they were in a home together and the wife is like, I can't deal with it anymore. So imagine she's picking up his things already before the pandemic. Imagine how to elevate it during the pandemic. That's why there were so many divorces around that time. It's a sad thing, but I hope you grieve forever.
I've been seeing and hearing this question asked so many times, I thought I would give you guys my expert opinion. When is the right time to date after a breakup, a divorce, whatever you want to call it? I've seen people say you take the time that you guys were together, divide that in half, and then that's when you should date. So if you're with someone 4 years, wait 2 years. I call it BS on all that. So here's what I say, and I know this is what works, and this is the best advice you're going to get all day. The best time to start dating after a breakup or divorce is when you are over 50% healed. So you could have even started healing while you were in that relationship. So even if you start dating a month later, out of a 10-year relationship, people are going to be like, that's crazy. You haven't had time to heal. Well, you don't know what, they don't know what you went through in the relationship, the counseling you went through, the healing you went through, whatever it may be. They don't know any of that stuff, or even what you went through in that relationship. There's a story about this guy who, that I heard of personally, that after his wife passed, he ended up getting married 6 months later. What people don't know is she was a 15-year raging alcoholic. So he was working on himself during the marriage, and when she passed away, he was ready. So again, I always say you've got to heal. You've got to heal as much as you can. You're never going to be 100% healed, and I don't think you should wait till you're 100% healed, because you can do some healing in a relationship. You're going to find someone who, is patient with you, but definitely get yourself to the point where you are healed, where you're not going to self-destruct and damage that new relationship that you got. For real, raw dating and relationship advice, make sure to hit the follow button.
When it comes to that, when you're talking about different ladies that go through it, they can't wait to get divorced because they're creating it, right? So as they're planning it months in advance, which she will never talk about, that cynical brain is going, this guy, I've been seeing him here, or I seen him on my way to get coffee, because they put the guy in the head already and already undressing him. Like they see different guys in their walkway, and as they go through life in the coffee shop, they see a guy at work, right? They have think they maybe see a guy on Facebook. They already have affairs in their head, so they start living it out. especially if they kept themselves together. They're going around, got younger guys talking to them. They're already creating that cheating in their mind. It's wild, right? I'm not going to say men don't do it, men do it too. But what happens is when that divorce is over, they can't wait. They're doing it right away. And she says it. She was somewhat truthful, but she didn't tell the whole truth. That's things that happen. They ponder it. They salivating at the mouth. I can't wait. They're sitting there after while they start. Precious. I can't wait to get out of this marriage and get that young boy. Because the young guys are hollering, right? But that's all they want. But they don't know they're going to be lonely for quite a while, because why would a man jump quickly into a relationship with someone that's married, knowing she just got divorced, knowing she's going to be playing the field that way, knowing she's going to be banging everybody? He's not trying to do it.
No one tells you when you get divorced that you're going to feel like you're grieving a death. And not just like a death of a person, but the death of shared dreams and a shared future and a house and a car and a boat. Like all these things you're getting ready to potentially lose, they're gone. And that feeling of loss can be overwhelming and take a while to get over and process. And it can hit you at the craziest time. So if you're feeling like you are grieving a death after your divorce, you're normal. You gotta feel your way through it, experience all the emotions, but know that there is a brighter future ahead and a new path for you to walk. So after you've taken adequate time to heal, which is different for everyone, it's important not to get stuck and start taking steps forward. Talking to someone like a divorce coach like me or a therapist can help you get back on your path. Let me know if you have any questions.
Talking to someone, a divorce coach like me. There's divorce coaches all over TikTok. And you know what I said? I said, let me see what she has in the comments. Let me take a look at the comments and see what some people are saying. This here is asinine to me. I'm all for marriage. I won't lie to you. I'm all for marriage. That's why I moved where I did. I'm all for marriage. So let me see this. Look what it says. I'm not going to mention her name, but it says, people don't understand the feeling that it would have easier, she didn't say it right, if they had passed. Yes, totally agree. No, so it would be easier if they had passed. So you're wishing death on your husband? I know you didn't say it, but that's kind of like what it is. But look what this one says. It says, the random times it hits me, like when I feel I'm in a good place and then something triggers it. I totally get that, Jocelyn. Healing isn't always linear, and those random moments can feel jarring. Even when you're doing well, it's normal for triggers to pop up, but each time it happens. I'll tell you this. You're supposed to feel that way, right? Because that is conviction. That's what it is. Now take a look at this. It says, I'm grieving so bad and I'm so sad. I'm so sorry you're feeling this way, Lex. Grief can be incredibly heavy, especially when it feels like it's all consuming. It's okay to sit with those emotions. And look at this one. I feel like I rushed everything. I got divorced in June of this year and moved out of state in July, and feel like I have blown my whole entire life. That's because you probably did. It says the memories trigger me, hits me at any time of the day with a roller coaster I wish I was never on. In the middle of a divorce, been together since I was 16. I'll be 34 this June. He's all I've known. We have 2 kids. I was a stay-at-home mom and housewife. I was married for 20 years. I've been grieving for 2 years now, and it's worse than grieving a death. Yes, that's how it's supposed to feel. You're receiving your just due for leaving the man that you're supposed to spend your entire life with. It's not supposed to happen.
When I went through my divorce, I thought it was going to be the death of me. I had never experienced such excruciating pain in every part of my being. I actually remember wishing that he had died. And now hear me out. Like, I didn't want that for him. I wanted it for me because I knew that if I had lost a spouse to death, That friends and family would come out of the woodwork. They would bring me meals. They would sit with me and listen to me cry. They would, do whatever I needed. But when you're going through a divorce, it's crickets. If your friends and family haven't experienced it, then they don't know what to say to you. And if they have experienced it, then chances are they still don't want to say anything because they don't want to take sides. It's such an isolating and lonely place to be. And if you are going through that right now, I just want you to know that you're not alone.
Yes, it's lonely because you just divorced your partner, the person you've seen every day, the person you talk to every day. It's supposed to feel like death because it is death. That's your other half that just died. It's death. Y'all don't take it like that. It boggles my mind.
That was probably the hardest thing I've ever done.
This woman told her husband that she wanted a separation from him after being married to him for 17 years. Now, she didn't go into great detail about what happened, but we should all know and understand that he was incapable of loving her with his entire heart. Without words, we know she tried everything because her tears said it all.
I cry all the time.
There was frustration in her tears. There was love in those tears. There was strength in those tears.
I'm sorry, my man with the pink shirt. You're a big panic bear, bro. I don't care whatever you say. Oh, I'm married. I would never do this to a woman. I love you, baby. I can imagine his comments. I'm gonna read your comments after. I can imagine. Let him finish though.
There was bravery in those tears. So I'd like to say to this woman, congratulations. It takes a strong woman to ask for a separation after 17 years of marriage. You thought you were marrying a life partner who's going to love you wholeheartedly in return. We know you didn't come to this decision easily.
And who's that? Oh, it's Mr. MVP, Simp!
And that you struggled with it for years. You only get one chance at life, and you can't waste it on someone who's not going to desire you and treat you like the special person you are. We are proud of you. We know you didn't arrive at this decision easily.
Oh, Papa, Panda.
Grinds my gears. Look at this here. You are so emotionally intelligent. I appreciate your wisdom and compassion. Bro, look at this. Look at this one here. I just wonder who I could have been if I had just one parent who was like you. Thanks for sharing yourself with all of us. This is such a heartwarming message to me. I embrace it. You spoke to my heart. Eating it up. Check this out. My therapist said you have to have someone, but some who can love you the way you need. I love the way your therapist put that. That's how he talks too. It says, I've been following her for a while. She is genuine and a great person. Thanks for highlighting her strength. She's genuine and a great person. She says what she says for money. And TikTok ruined her marriage too. Call it what it is, right? Now let's see this. Your words are resonating. All she said was I followed her for a while. And to that sweet woman, I hope she heals and finds happiness. We got to stop this. We have to stop this. This is an all-time low on his part, but it's happening. But yeah, y'all. Thank y'all for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. See you guys next video. But this here, especially at the end, this has to stop. I don't care that he's an older gentleman. He took away his man card right there and just said, I'm going to join his side of the crying divorcees. And probably try to get, I don't know what you're trying to do. What are you trying to accomplish by this? You're going to help women grieve, different women grieve? Like, it's wild, but this is what we come to. And he's doing that for money. That's why he's doing it. They don't see what's happening. Lives are being ruined from divorce being initiated while he's okaying the reason why she initiated it. They say Donald Trump is going to stop no-fault divorce. Now you have to have a reason. I would love to see that. because it's gotten worse. It was bad before. Like before I left, that's why I left. I seen it was bad, but it got worse. But yeah, thank y'all for watching. See y'all next video.
Answer's coming.